So wonderful to see you again. As you can see, I'm not upping my production game, so what you see is what you get. Of course, when all this coronavirus stuff is over, I'm just deleting these videos and all that. Okay, so last week we talked about various expository essays, and I gave you a list of 4 subgenres of the expository essay. And the one that I want to talk about today is compare contrast, and the one that we're going to talk about on Thursday is cause and effects. We're sort of digging deeper into what we have here. So obviously for today's presentation, I have 90s eras sitcoms as my theme, so there you have it. Okay, so what are we talking about in a comparison and contrast essay? A comparison points out the ways in which things are similar. It can be people, places, things are alike, etc. It is meant to underscore, elucidate, talk about the points in which a thing, a person, a place, whatever, are similar. So if you were comparing New York and Los Angeles, the ways they're similar, the ways they are different. That's exactly what we're trying to get to. So the function of comparison contrast essay is to list all of these things out. Obviously, people know that there are a number of differences with Los Angeles and New York City, but also a lot of similarities. But people don't necessarily bring those to mind. They take these things for granted. So culturally, those are 2 very, very different places, and you could talk about why in such an essay. Your purpose is to inform the reader on issues, either objectively, as in you have an agenda and opinion, or subjectively, like, here's the facts, present them, you make your own decision. Of course, when we get to our own sort of essay, I'm going to have you take a position. But for now, we're just going to say, in very basic terms, that's what it is. Okay. Taking a stance. Next slide. We have Urkel. All right. So, in making an outline for a comparison and contrast essay, let's take solar power versus wind power, for instance. Well, these are several different things that are 7 different topics that we would probably want to talk about in relation to solar power versus wind power. Installation. What does it cost to have solar panels put on your house, and what might it cost to have a wind turbine put nearby your house? How efficient is solar? How efficient is wind? Was it BTUs or something like that? I'm sure it's not something I'm knowledgeable about, but you could sort of give the numbers of how much usage it's ready for, one versus the other. Do cloudy days matter? Do windy days matter? Operating costs. I know from my house, I've actually looked into solar. I have a friend with solar. I'm looking across the street from my house, and I do see some solar panels. I'm curious, and it costs quite a bit, but I know it's probably not going to be as expensive as a wind turbine anyway. Also, my HOA would not like a wind turbine in my yard, but whatever. Convenience. How convenient is solar? Is it easy to handle? Is it easy to maintain? Wind. You're just looking at a wind turbine all the time. Is it easy to maintain? Do you have to go up there and grease them every once in a while? That kind of thing. Maintenance. I guess that goes for what I said as far as taking care of these things. And then, of course, safety. You hear things about birds flying into wind turbines. Are solar panels safe? Can they explode? Something you have to look into if that were in fact your compare contrast essay. Like that, my ninja moves. 2. Alright, moving on. Alright, so what I wanted to do in preparation for Tuesday's lesson is take a look at Mark Twain's 2 ways of seeing a river. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link up this essay. I have them here as well. So if you were really hard up to look for something and you didn't want to click a link, you could just read it that way. Otherwise, you can pause the screen and read the paragraphs. Either way, I wanted to look at 2 different perspectives of the Mississippi and see the ways they are similar and the ways they are different. Of course, Mark Twain is an American treasure, excellent writer, and a legend in his own right. And I want you to talk. We're going to talk about in the class. I want you to go ahead and think about how effective is Twain at putting these 2 ideas together, juxtaposing them accordingly, but also building the idea of singularity, as in the one Mississippi River. Are these completely 2 different ways of seeing the river, and they're not? You can't reconcile them. All right. So I'll leave the screen up for a moment, just in case you're going to be lazy and not, click on my link. That's fine. I feel like I should sing to you while you're reading this, but then again, I'm paused. Maybe I'll just keep it up for a minute and, you can read it. All right, moving on to the next one. Okay, and now it's a nice aerial shot of the Mississippi. So this is what you're going to do now after you've read the Mark Twain piece. I want you to take a few minutes. Obviously, we're not in class, so you do your own thing in your own time. Just have it ready for class, please. I want you to take some time to research and write down 2 columns, the similarities of honeybees and bumblebees, and, of course, the differences between honeybees and bumblebees. So there you go. Pause me, whatever. I'll probably go back to watching Transformers cartoons, which I have actually been doing in my quarantine. All right. This is what I want you to do for Tuesday's class. I want you to prep one of these 2 topics. You're going to come up with a list of at least 10 similarities and differences. That's a total of 20, if you can't tell. You can either choose people who graduate from high school and they go on and do trade school, like electrician or plumbers, apprenticeship, whatever, or they go to a 4-year college. And I want you to look at some facts regarding the outcomes for both. Of course, some of them are going to be the same, but some of them are going to be different. Some of them you will know right off the bat, and some of them you'll have to look up. The other one is I want to compare and contrast. I say the cultural impacts of Star Wars, but you know what? For right now, if we want to do like a Venn diagram kind of thing, Star Trek and Star Wars. I want to do a quick compare contrast between Star Wars and Star Trek. You don't have to be super elaborate with that, but just list out 10 of each, differences and similarities. All right, with that, we will cover this all in Tuesday's class. If I get a little bit further, that's fine. I will probably work on the next video in the meantime. See you Tuesday.